The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Friday, the 19th day of August, 2022. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman, Chief Central Dorm, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Sancha, it's Friday. How are you?
I told you that Fridays are just a regular day to me.
So I gotta ask, what your son Maddox have planned for the weekend?
On the agenda?
Yeah.
So we are doing preseason training for motocross. So
Okay.
we will be, and actually they're doing like I don't know, it's like a little race that they do for the PV racers and Strider racers. So that's going to be on Sunday down at Southside. So he's going to be racing.
Okay.
He's racing, yeah, and Gumbies, I think.
So do they call you like a you know how they have the soccer mom? Do they call you a moto mom or something?
They do. I'm going to send them to you. I have pictures of me being a moto mom. Maddox even calls me a moto mom. He's like, Mom, thank God you're a moto mom, because I don't know what I would do.
A moto mom. So do you know how to ride, like the scrambler?
I do. I ride. Yeah. Yeah.
We need video, folks. We need video.
I think that Maddox got into it's more me.
Mm.
He was never, his dad was never really into riding. So it's definitely more me. That's
yeah. We need video, folks. All I'm saying, we need video of Sancha riding.
When I was little, I used to ride I have an older brother, and I started riding young, like really young. Yeah.
Illegally or legally?
But I wasn't riding on the road.
Oh, I've got to ask these questions.
I used to have like a scrambling track in the backyard of my house.
You know, I have to ask these things because, like yesterday I learned so much, stuff. Some things just happen on air, and
I'm very quiet. I'm not, I don't talk about it. You know how those people you say you don't have to talk about it, you just talk about it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Quiet. That's what she's going with. Anyway, greetings everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. Another good one today as we close out the traditional work week. We welcome a radio legend, or as I described to Maya backstage, a Bermudian. Everyone should know a Bermudian that pretty much has done in this industry, the radio industry, what coming from little old Bermuda, it's 1 in a billion chance. So Elroy Smith is stopping by. Conversation with Elroy, and if you know, and I would just say tune in. I'll say this: he is the most inspirational person I've actually had the privilege to work with and work for. So good conversation. If you don't know, if you do, make sure you tell your friends, your family, your colleagues to tune in. I can go on and on about it.
I've been teaching Maddox the word legend recently. Like we've been looking for examples of legends. Here we have one.
And, as I said to Maya, you work in this industry in Bermuda, you must know the name Elroy Smith. He is what Bermudians should be aspiring to be. I just say that. That's if you're in media, he is what we should be aspiring to be. The Daily Play is the feud. And so... Oh, I love days like this. But Sancha's pretty good at this. I'll give it to her. She makes it look easy. She's like a hustler when it comes to this. But anyway, good morning, everybody. Let's get to the conversation. So let's just go to the daily. The Royal Gazette, there was an article by the interim one, I'll refer to as the Bermuda Tourism Authority has an interim CEO. And the title was For Our Price Point, Our Service Levels Are Not Where They Should Be. I'm just going to say this. I think the Bermuda Tourism Authority, which is tasked with driving tourists to Bermuda, is such a confused organization right now that I honestly believe that they need to find, as most of the comments, and I hope this lady, the interim one, doesn't read the comments, because unless she's very egotistical, her feelings would be hurt. But I say that because the interim one went on in this conversation, and she speaks about the Bermuda Tourism Authority is to launch a new training program to raise standards of service and encourage Bermudians into the industry. And I asked some questions from industry people in, destination marketing. Is it normal for the destination marketing organization to offer such things? And it seems like desperation in a bid to really be relevant, because your marketing probably sucks. The sales, you have no hotels, so the sales are probably high, but that's easy when there's no hotels. But the question of the morning isn't focusing on the interim one and the Bermuda Tourism Authority per se. It's focusing on what the interim one and the Bermuda Tourism Authority are saying. And that is, she spoke about Bermuda's service levels, right? And I read about this in the book by the former Premier, Dr. the Honorable Hewitt Brown. And, he spoke about, Turks and Caicos as an example, and how service, people have got to understand service isn't servitude, right? There's a big difference between it. So I guess the question of the morning to the audience, and I'm not sure if you've had a chance to read the article, but I don't think we need to read the article, because Bermudians complain about customer service on the island almost daily. The question is Bermuda's service issue costing the island? Is Bermuda's service issue costing the island? That's the question for the morning. Do you believe the service issue is costing the island?
It's such a broad question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Such a broad question. You go first today, Jamal.
Me? Oh, why?
Yes.
See, when I'm broke, so I don't really shop many places, go many places. But I can honestly say that during my times in Bermuda this year, I've been in Bermuda 3 times this year, I have not had any service issues. We were at what's the place up top in the canister things down Front Street where they serve drinks and stuff, the tourism authority place. I forget the name. They have the cans. It's upstairs of the cans. What's that place on Front Street? Birdcage. Yes, thank you. See thank you, my Birdcage. So went there. The service was great. I only really go to People's Pharmacy, Lindo's. Service is great. Went to what's the OM Juicery. Service was great. And let me be clear. Let me be clear in saying this. Everyone that served me was a Bermudian. Probably, I don't know about the pharmacists at People's Pharmacy, but everyone was really on their job, right? So I haven't experienced bad customer service. So I cannot say, I'm going to say I'm an American at this point, as an American visitor, right, to Bermuda. And I only use that as an example because I've only been there in spurts this year, right? I don't necessarily live in Bermuda full time to say it's an issue, whereas you all are facing it on a regular basis. But where I've gone to, the food may not have been great, but the service was superior, right? I have not had customer service issues in Bermuda. I can honestly say I have not had customer service issues in Bermuda.
I experienced both. I feel like Bermuda is not the Bermuda it used to be. You look at if we go all the way back to my grandmother, may she rest in peace, was the queen of customer service. Mm-hmm. And a lot of my ways, I guess, came from her and her instilling me what should be done. But I go to some places and I can tell you, I want to pull my hair out. I go to this one restaurant, but the person that's serving me is not Bermudian, but when
Mm,
I tell you I get the worst attitude every day, but the food is so good and I can't
mm,
get it from anywhere else, so I deal with it, but we bicker. I swear
mm,
every
mm,
time I
mm,
go there. I do also feel like some of the younger generation, they have not been taught customer service, but I feel like that's also the job of the establishment. So
mhm,
I have nail bar, my family has scoops. We
mhm,
are always instilling what is expected. And when I hear a bad review or we hear, something that didn't go well, we make it a point to go back and say, okay, this is a teachable moment.
mm,
So how are we going to make sure that this doesn't happen again? And we enhance the experience.
mm.
So it is the responsibility of the establishment, but I can say I don't think that we have the Bermudians of yesteryear on the front line.
But and I think that's for a number of reasons, though. I don't think I'll disagree with you on that, Sancho. I think there's a number of reasons for that. Number one, industries, change, right? Countries change, and if you look at what the first reinsurance company started in Bermuda, and then more and more came. So if you take someone who was working in a hotel making $30,000, right,
Mhm.
and now they're being offered to be someone's executive assistant for $95,000 in an international business, right?
Yeah.
Now, not everyone does that. The people they left behind in the hotel, they're not as happy because they're like, oh, we're not making good money. She's making all this. Like things change, right? So on an economic scale, Bermuda has changed. So the service levels are going to change if people don't feel appreciated. They feel like the money that they're making today doesn't go as long as it once went in the industry. There's so many factors to it. So I can completely understand why attitudes have adjusted and we don't have the same happy to be there, happy to make. I mean, the late Walton Brown said it in the House of Assembly before his death. He said, my parents were able to work seasonal back in the day and feed their family, build their house. We can't do that in the same industry today.
Mhm.
So I think that contributes to it. The question, folks, is Bermuda's service issue costing the island? Oh, what a comment by Michelle White, Sancho's friend. She didn't tell me about. She said, no, our service issue isn't costing, nor is the cause of Bermuda's decline in visitor numbers. It's the offerings, visitors changing taste for travel, and visitors wanting to get more bang for buck. Michelle, I read the interim one's comments, the interim CEO at the BTA, and I'm just like, well, one comment stood out to me, right? She said, I'm trying to look for it. Oh, here we go. Quote, parents are not talking to their children about getting into this industry. They're talking to their children about getting into law and banking and insurance and underwriting, things like that. I've been told not to call people dopey and stupid on this show, right?
Jamal.
But what I will say is, while the comment may be true, you'd have to be stupid not to understand why it's true. So if you're going to say that, we're going to go back to 2011 when I was on Bermuda Broadcasting doing a summer talk show. And a gentleman called up, and I shared this on the show before. A gentleman called up and said, I don't want my child working on nobody's front desk, right? They need to be going into reinsurance or some sector of the international business. And I said to this gentleman, I'm like, I don't think that's necessarily the right attitude to have. Maybe they can start there and move on into this space and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this to the interim one, right? Not everyone has a trajectory like yours, going from HR manager to an interim CEO, right? Not everyone's going to have it that easy, if you get me, right? But how could we inspire people to get their children to focus on the service tourism industry over law and other spaces? If you don't know the answer to that interim title and that position shouldn't be yours for long. I'll say that much.
But Jamal, it goes right back to what I say all the time. What is our product and who are we catering to?
But
Once we can,
that's what she should be focusing on more than the service. See, what this seems like, to focus on the service is an excuse.
as to why they're not.
Exactly. So, and Bermudians, I'm telling you, because I've been on fire on Facebook lately, right? Wake up, wake up, wake up, because the media is going to draw you, not the media, but those people in these companies are going to use the media. Because think about it. Kim Swan's on the BTA board. She was on his show talking this stuff, right? It's a plan. It's tactics to get you to believe that you're the problem, not the Bermuda Tourism Authority. Let me repeat. I'm going to speak. Look right in the camera when I say this. What the Bermuda Tourism Authority and the interim one are doing right now, because they are failing at their jobs, what they are doing is trying to put it on the people of Bermuda and basically tell you that because your service standards are subpar, it's costing Bermuda. Do not let anyone, especially one who probably hasn't earned the right to critique you, to blame you for the incompetence of an organization that is being paid millions to deliver what they failed to do. All right, we got some comments, Sandra.
Now that we've got that off the chest.
Yeah. Is Bermuda's service issue costing the island? Let's go to some comments. Nicole Walker and Sean DeShields for you.
Good morning. Poor customer service may have a small impact when it comes to word of mouth from departing visitors. The biggest issue is our lack of competitive product and pricing. Yep. Do you believe that paying a mandatory 17% gratuity is partially the problem in Bermuda's restaurants?
No, I don't.
But is that anywhere you go?
I don't. No, it depends on the city. I don't.
Well, let me
problem.
Bahamas tax is outrageous.
No, but I want to answer this question. Okay. I don't think it's a problem, Sean. I don't think it's a problem, but I do have an issue with paying it if the service is poor.
Yeah. But let me mention this. Bahamas tax is, you've been to Bahamas, right? Have you paid their taxes?
I've never been there, and they're just down the road from me.
Outrageous. When I tell you, I've been to Bahamas a few times. My friend Gilbert takes me all the time, and I have a great time. I love the food. I love the experience, but I still pay that tax because I have a good time, and it's very high.
There you go, folks. Her value. She's getting value. Yeah. She's getting value. Is Bermuda's service issue costing the island? This conversation is going interesting because I thought more people would say yes, but I think people see through the BS. Michelle White says, with that said, once a visitor lands in Bermuda, our customer service level is questionable and overall friendliness is declining. How often do you pass someone and they say good morning first? Renee Simmons says, service, they need to get some up-to-date merchandise first. I walked in a few stores and made a 360-degree turn. It looked like old rural countryside clothing. Headley and Stevenson Swan says, I gravitate towards shopping at Belvin's Variety Store as the customer service is constantly warm and friendly. Interesting. Christine Pierman Sanchez.
We called St. Regis a few weeks ago regarding a booking and inquired whether gratuities were included. The lady who answered just about spoke English and didn't know what the word gratuity meant. We had to try to explain. I couldn't believe it.
Interesting.
This is not the first time I've heard something like this about them.
Interesting.
At all. It's not the first time.
Sean DeShields says, who's responsible for setting Bermuda service standards? Well, I believe under the, what's that lady? Carla Lacey, when she was at the Bermuda Tourism Authority, they had the Bermuda Hospitality Institute.
I was just going to say Bermuda Hospitality Institute.
And I think the Bermuda Hospitality Institute now became a part of the Bermuda Tourism Authority. I asked people in the industry just yesterday, is it normal? Is it normal for the destination market, again, a destination marketing organization, their mandate's very clear. The Bermuda Tourism Authority is doing stuff that, and to quote Gilbert right here, basically the BTA is playing mind games with Bermudians. And like the government, people hit me up last night, well, almost every night, but saying to me, Jamal, what should people do? What should people do? You asking me? I mean, I'm a living example. I mean, you've got to go to fight. But see, you look in Sri Lanka, right, and other countries, when people go to fight, Bermudians are afraid to lose what they don't have. Folks, if you have a mortgage, you don't own your house. You're afraid of being blackballed? By who? people who win a popularity contest, not because they're good or people like them, but because of history. Bermuda is the perfect example of a rock and a person. You cannot get better unless you do the work to receive it.
Yeah.
Service standards does impact the visitor when they get here, but getting them here is our first issue. What is our product? And again, that's the BTA playing mind games. Your job is to focus on getting people here. The marketing, the promotion, the service standards, that's on the Bermudian people.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be the responsibility of the BTA. Headley and Stevenson Swan and Richard Augustus for you, Sentra.
By law, you don't have to pay gratuity. It's there for convenience. If the service is unpleasant, you can ask for the gratuity to be removed.
Yes, I've done that before.
I've done that before too.
Yeah, I've done that. I meant to say that in response to Sean. I've done that. As a good friend of mine said, I don't reward bad behavior. If the service is bad, we're not paying it.
I had bad service this weekend that I can, last weekend, sorry, that I can talk about. So
yes.
I decided to take Maddox. Maddox's dad and I, we all decided to go brunch just on a whim at Hamilton Princess. And it got to a point, Jamal, where my server, I had to ask for a new server. She made me feel like I was annoying to her. So when I said to her, I was like, listen, I don't eat beef. I don't eat pork. Is there another option? She's like, well, people that don't eat that don't come here. That's what she said.
Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo-hoo!
Oh my goodness.
That sounds like the story I read yesterday about a vegan lady requesting 2 meals on a flight from somewhere to somewhere, and they gave her bottles of water. I was like, oh, it's that kind of party. Let's go through these last few comments real quickly before we bring in Maya. We've got Richard Augustus says deflection tactics by the BTA is not service. Exactly. And Michelle White, let's end it on this. She says the service standard is the responsibility of each organization. Yes, the Institute is part of the BTA now, but it's an ambassador program, not responsible directly. Businesses accept behavior. Let's bring Maya in and see what Maya thinks. Folks, we've got Elroy Smith coming up. Again, the term legend, Bermudian, radio. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Let's bring Maya in, see what Maya thinks about the service industry. See if she thinks it's costing. She probably works in customer service, experiences things. Maybe she's one of those people complain about. I don't know.
She's really good.
No, she is. Yeah, she seems too friendly.
I told you, I didn't know it was her. And then I put 2 and 2 together. And whenever I go to get stuff for Paws, she's on it. She's really, really good with her customer service.
For those of you who don't know, Sancho's dog's name, Paws. Let's bring Maya in. Good morning, Maya. How are you?
Good morning. You got me smiling right now, Sancho. Thank you.
So okay, you do service industry, you get it. Do you think, like, first off, do you think Bermuda has a service issue?
I wouldn't necessarily call it by saying that it's an issue, because I think we do have really great people that give really great service. So I think sometimes people have their off days, of course, and sometimes that can just be the nail in the coffin that it takes. Like, you give 10 people really great service, no one's probably going to say anything. You give one person bad service and they're probably going to tell 10 friends. Like, it's that whole synopsis there as well. So sometimes it is just about, I don't know, masking your feelings and the attitude for the day, really.
I think it was actually the guest we have today, Elroy, always saying you don't take your problems to work as well. That's an important thing. And it's not saying you got to be fake or whatnot. The amount of times, folks, Sancho's probably going to hate me for saying this, but Sancho's like, oh, I'm not feeling too good today, Jamal. But you would never know, right? It's not like she's faking it, but we've got a job to do. We can still express and share with you what's going on. We may not know what Maya's going through or I'm going through, but you don't put that on the people that you're serving. You can't put it on them. All right, Maya, I know you're ready for the news break, aren't you?
I'm ready for the news break.
All right, she's ready for the news break. She got a really nice story in there for you today, folks. Over to you, Maya.
Morning, and thank you for tapping in with us this morning. I'm Maya Palacio, and this is the Daily Hour News Break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Sad news this morning. Early yesterday, I reported a serious road collision, and I'm sad to report another. Yesterday, around 4:15 p.m., there was a serious 2-vehicle collision involving a motor car and a motorcycle on Marsh Valley Road, Pembroke. It was reported that the male driver of the motor car attempted to negotiate a right-hand turn onto Blackwatch Pass when the collision occurred. The male motorcycle rider was transported to the hospital for a suspected head injury. If anyone witnessed this collision, please call 211. In other news, if you rely on public transportation, this is a time for you to listen in closely. The Department of Public Transportation advises that due to Balco trench work, the closure of North Shore Road, Devonshire, between Loyal Hill and Barker's Hill, there will be detours for Route 10 and 11 buses starting today until Friday, the 9th of September. Journey times on routes 10 and 11 will be affected by the detours. To see the full route changes, you could go to gov.bm. And as the island's curiosity peaks for the upcoming PLP internal election, more statements addressing issues and changes coming from both sides. Yesterday, the Shadow Minister of National Security, Honorable Michael Dunkley of the OVA, once again expressed his concerns with the Bermuda travel authorization still being in effect, even though the Minister of Health announced changes to allow unvaccinated travelers into Bermuda. He states the TA is hurting our economy, especially when we compete with other Caribbean islands. The Shadow Minister believes it's time for the TA to be eliminated and, quote, saying, allow money to flow wildly throughout the community into hospitality industry, transportation providers, and to struggling Bermudians. Lastly, here's a little joy to start your weekend. The Simmons Brothers Band is a band of 3 brothers who have nurtured their musical talent for over 10 years. Eldest, Jonathan, age 22, has been playing the guitar since he was 6 years old. Solomon, age 20, has been playing the piano since he was 4. And the youngest, Leonardo, has been playing the drums since he was 5 years old, and he is 16 years old. Currently, the talented Bermudian Brothers group is in Panama, and they recently performed at the Italia Fest. Here's a short video clip of their performance.
Come dance with me, baila conmigo. Come dance with me, it's the side of the city, el sonido de la ciudad.
Now, the group says they haven't had any inquiries to come back home to play this summer, but have made their own plans for next year. And despite some talk about live music scenes depleting in Bermuda, this young group is a testament of keeping it alive. If you want to know more about them, you can visit the SimmonsBrothersBand.com. And now let's take a look at today's weather. We're starting out with some clouds, but bright sunny skies will follow right after. It won't be too windy today, more steady like normal, and we're looking at, again, another high of 88 degrees Fahrenheit, which has been quite steady throughout this week. I'd like to also remind everyone to drive safe over the weekend and every day if possible. Operation Vega is still ongoing. And reminder, someone loves you dearly, and please take the time to give that extra few seconds to look at your surroundings and make sure everything is good to go when you're in your vehicles. That's all from me. I'm Maya Palacio for the Daily Hour News Break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. And now let's get back to the Daily Focus with Jamal and Sandra.
Thank you so much for that, Maya. Before we do Days of the Year, real quickly, I normally would do this backstage, but I want to ask the audience something real quick. Simmons is with 2 M's, Simons is with 1 M, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So there's Simons with 1 M then, right? That's what it said on the logo. And I only ask because Bermudians, we like to pronounce the things our way as a culture.
It's the Simmons Brothers.
It's Simons?
It's Simmons Brothers. I'm wrong. And it's funny because I checked over it like twice. Like, make sure you say Simmons, Maya. Make sure you say Simmons.
No, honestly, it's Maya, trust me. Growing up, Bermudians would pronounce Chavez, Chaves, and I'm like, it's Chavez. No, it's Chaves.
No, I'll let Jonathan fight my head about that because we went to school together, so I'll let him get mad at me for that one.
No worries. Sandra, what you got for the Days of the Year?
Today is National Men's Grooming Day. It's celebrated on the 3rd Friday of August each year, and today is August 19th. Although we believe that every day should be Men's Grooming Day, today's your day. Did you put in some beard oil today?
No, actually, one day I didn't. To be honest with you, I got to go take care of things during the break, huh?
So good. Got a manicure, pedicure, some beard oil, little facial. Today's your day now.
I mean, shucks, I did it all last week. But yeah, I need to go back. I have an excuse for today. Maya, thank you so much. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.
You as well.
All righty. Maya Palacio, folks. Folks, we're going to take a quick break. I'm probably going to get groomed during the break. We've got, look, top radio programmer in these United States of America. One of, I always say, and I don't like to put pressure on people, but no pressure with Elroy. One of the, if not the most influential Bermudian in media that we've ever had the opportunity to experience. Looking forward to it. Do not go anywhere. And folks, if you haven't already, share the link. Make sure your friends and family know that we're about to talk to a legend. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's. I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dandytown Field. Number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show, Central Durham. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed on our website so you don't miss a chance for updates, promotions, prizes, and more. Also, if you're on the go and you can't watch, that's okay. Download the BCG Radio app, available for both Android and Apple devices, and you can listen to us every single time we go live. Folks, so we have Charles Jeffers II, legend in this space of destination marketing. We have Darren Herbert. I consider him a legend in the acting space. We have Shiona Torini, legendary in the creative design space. And we have Elroy Smith, not to age him, but legendary for decades and decades. And today we get to have a conversation with Elroy Smith. Let's welcome him into the show. We haven't given a round of applause, so let's get the round of applause set. Let's welcome Elroy. Oops, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Good morning, Elroy.
First of all, good morning, and thank you so much, Jamel, for the introduction. Sandra, nice to meet you as well. It's an honor to be on the show, and I mentioned to Jamel that I've seen it before, and I'm like, these two are quite entertaining. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for doing this. Honestly, obviously you've just come from the West Coast, and we'll get into that. So I'm happy that it fit your schedule now being back on the East Coast, because doing this on West Coast time, we had to do that, and it was a rough one. But let's just speak, to those who may not know about your story and start in radio. I obviously know about the great Sturgis Griffin and how he was instrumental, but just speak to people about your start. How did you get your start in radio?
Well, what was interesting, many years ago, I thought I wanted to be an entertainer, a singer. So in Bermuda, I joined this group, and I still, to this very day, remember performing in front of 5,000 people at the Southampton Rangers field. And after the performance, I didn't even get home. We had a meeting. I was still able to see all of the people watching the next entertainer that came on stage. So the members pulled me aside and said, I don't think this thing is working out, Elroy. And I was fired, Jamal and Sandra, right on the spot. So I went home feeling a little despaired, wondering, what happened? I thought I was good. Then I thought about it. I said, I still want to do something with regard to entertainment. So I was listening to the radio, and I'm like, wow, I sort of like this radio station at the time, ZFB. And I made an appointment to go to the radio station to apply to be on the air. And again, all of this is in my mind so vividly. I remember, fumbling over, reading a commercial. They gave me several opportunities to get it right, and I never got it right. There's an unfortunate story, but a good story to what I'm about to say. Unfortunately, I did not finish high school in Bermuda. And every time I speak, I encourage anyone who's listening to not follow this path at all. I remember being at Robert Crawford High School, and, I was not doing well there. So I decided to transfer to Warwick Secondary, thinking that I would do better. And both situations, it was on me. I just did not do well. So at the radio station, I was advised by, I think it was Winston J.R. Jones or Sturgis Rippin. One of the guys mentioned to me, you may want to go to school to learn how to be a broadcaster. So I thought about it. I'm like, boy, let me call a school in Boston. And they said, boy, we need your transcripts. Here comes the problem. No transcripts, no diploma. They said, hold on. If you can get a letter from a politician and a lawyer, a politician and a pastor in Bermuda, we'll consider accepting you into this college. I'm like, boy, that's kind of easy. Then they said, we will be closing in a year and a half. So maybe that's the reason why it was so easy to get into the school, right? So I got the letter, and they reached out and said, you have been accepted into this associate's degree program, which was a 2-year program. But as time went on, they came to me to remind me, remember, when we accepted you into this college, we told you we will be shutting down in a year and a half. We have one more semester and we'll be closing down. So I had to do 9 courses, Sandra and Jamel, in order to graduate with my associate's degree. So I squished in all of the 9 courses, was able to graduate. So at that point in time, I'm like, oh my goodness, I went to college, came back to Bermuda, got a job on the radio for the summer. Then I got a little irritable. I said, boy, I need some more education. Went back to Boston, got my bachelor's degree. So really, that is how, things started with regard to myself.
Interesting. And what's interesting? I don't remember the being fired part, right? I remember everything else. But some of the most successful people, I remember Michael Jordan's story. He got cut from, was it his JV team? They've had, that path. They got fired early in the career, and, they took it as a springboard to get to where they are. But I want to go into, okay, so you obviously learned some early lessons from this experience. What are some of the lessons that helped you to reach the heights that you have?
Well, Jamel, I study people and I study mediums. And while I was in college in Boston, I studied radio stations from afar. I just became so passionate about this industry. I would make notes. I would try to incorporate some of the things that I heard into my brand. And of course, not stealing it, but sort of modifying it to make it into what works for me. So that's one thing. The other thing is, as you do, you are very, very good at staying in touch with people. I would just call people that I admired. And a lot of times people think that people that you admire will never take your phone call. That is so untrue. Many successful people are lonely. So they will end up picking up the phone, and people that I thought would never talk to me would talk to me. They would give me pointers in terms of, what I need to do to raise the bar of my dream. And I just stayed on board. And then I stayed in touch with people. So when an opportunity came along, I've already established a relationship with people. We have a tendency to fear people that we admire. Please don't do that. Take a chance. And in addition to that, you may be told no, or that person may not get back to you, but it's okay. Keep going after your dream. Many of us give up after 2 or 3 rejections. I totally disagree, because there's one person on this planet that will say to you, yes. And that one person will allow you to see your dream blossom.
And I want to echo this to the audience. What Elroy just said is the kind of stuff when they hired me at Entitled Communications, they said to me, it was my first sales job. And I was meeting with a chief sales officer yesterday in West Palm downtown for a coffee. And I said that, I don't know. I don't have a fear of someone telling me no. And I think that came from the training and the people that have been a part of my life before. Like you just said, someone will say yes, even like applying to colleges, just apply. One will accept you. And once you get into one, if you really want to go to another, you do your best at that one that accepts you. So appreciate the advice. Let's go into some of the stations. So you've worked for a number of major markets, and we're talking Boston, as you've mentioned. You've been in Philadelphia, most recently San Francisco. Now you're in Orlando. But let's speak about WGCI in Chicago. That's the big one a lot of people tie to, right? You really made a name for yourself there. And I ask people in the industry who I still have contacts with, and the way they speak of you, it makes me proud as a fellow Bermudian that you're so respected and honored by people. And I'm talking music artists throughout the industry in the US. How were you able to, and I know you said you studied people, but how were you able to keep a station like WGCI so hot and on top for so long? It's unheard of. And for people who don't understand markets, I'll just break it down to you. The number 1 market in the US is New York, Los Angeles number 2, Chicago number 3, Houston after that, right? Just give me the top 4. To do what you did in the 3rd largest market in the United States of America, how were you able to do that?
Well, sort of sticking to what you were talking about in terms of going after your dream, I always avoided WGCI in terms of applying. Why? That negative thought popped into my mind. WGCI will never hire this guy out of Boston. And the program director then was leaving to go to Dallas. He called me before it was made public that he's leaving and they will be looking for a new program director. And again, Jamel, I said, boy, they would not even listen to me. I applied, presented my resume, presented my story. They flew me in to Chicago. And again, so many memories in my mind. I remember being in an Airport Express bus on the Kennedy Expressway and looking at the skyline of Chicago, and still to this very day remembering a song called The Second Time Around by Shalimar. It was being played on WGCI as I was going to my hotel. And there was this guy on the radio named Tom Joyner. Many of us know him as the Fly Jock, or the guy that had a 20+ year syndicated morning show. He was on the radio. I'm like, well, Tom Joyner listened to me as his new program director. All of these negative thoughts ran through my mind. But to answer your question, what I thought would be appropriate for this great radio station was to have personalities on the air that had opinions, to say to the personality, go ahead, talk, versus just playing music. And the more they talked, and the other thing, it was so Chicago. Literally everything that we talked about was Chicago. The music was vibrant. The phone lines were wide open. People in Chicago treated this radio station as though they owned it. Not only that, I sort of give the title. WGCI was the CNN. The only difference was we were the CNN designed for African American people and the CNN that played music. So you can turn this radio station on, you can turn this radio station on and hear news, hear human interest stories, hear music, and hear personalities that knew that city with their eyes closed. So we held on to that philosophy, and quarter after quarter, year after year, this station was either the number one radio station in Chicago or the number one music station in Chicago. And one year we made history. This station made $43 million in 1 year. There's a station there called WGN. They would always be the station that was successful in terms of revenue. But here comes this urban station exceeding WGN, making $43 million plus. And that raised the bar in terms of the respect that this radio station had. I was there for 15 years. And you're right, this station gave me an opportunity to meet so many people, an opportunity to work with a Tom Joyner, gentleman named Doug Banks, rest in peace, Doug. Steve Harvey, many people don't know, Steve Harvey started his radio career at WGCI. Comedian George Wallace worked there as well, comedian Adele Gibbons. We've just had a list of people of significance that has worked for this legendary radio station.
Real quickly, Sancha, before you jump in, I just want to say that Elroy, you gave a presentation at a radio conference in Miami in 2007.
Right.
I correct me if I'm quoting you wrong. I often do that sometimes, but I believe you said something to the effect that radio is for personalities, not DJs, right? Not DJs.
Yeah, no, you are right. It's all DJs come and go, but personalities are the ones that sustain. Why? Because people can relate to someone that's being real. And I still, Jamel, I still encourage my on-air people to be personalities. Build that relationship with your listeners. Say that you're not happy today and tell listeners why, or say why you're happy today. And you know what happens? People make a connection. One of the DJs that I just referred to, Doug Banks, came to me and said, Elroy, I was just diagnosed with diabetes. Should I go on the air and tell the listeners? I said to him, absolutely. When he went on the air and shared that with his listeners, the phone lines, not only in the studio blew up, they blew up at the switchboard. People were sympathetic. People were supporting this guy. They were encouraging him. So those are the type of things that don't be ashamed to share with your listeners. Why? They're going to look at you as, wow, he's just like me, versus keeping those things away from your listeners.
So when I heard we were interviewing you, the first thing I did was ask my mom and dad, who were just like, he is the man.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
So that spoke volumes, and I knew I had to go and do my research, and it amazing stories. I know you mentioned some of the people that you've worked with before, but what are someone that's memorable, a memorable situation of someone that you've been privileged to work with that you can tell us about?
Because you've worked with like Wendy Williams and others, right?
Well, you know what's interesting about Wendy Williams, Jamel and Sandra, she went to school at Northeastern University in Boston, and I went to Emerson College in Boston, and I was programming a station called WILD in Boston. And I remember her, and she reminded me, she came by the station and wanted to apply for a job. And unfortunately, she was not chosen. I saw her probably 15 years later, and she walked up to me and said, Elroy, I remember you in Boston. I remember you not giving me an opportunity to be on your radio station. And I said to Wendy, I want to publicly apologize to you for not hiring you. Of course, she said, well, I'm doing well without you anyway. So she threw that at me, which was fine. And I totally agree. Maybe if I would have hired her, maybe her career would have not been as successful. I don't know. But so that was my, relationship. And it's a strong relationship with Wendy. Yeah, now you're hearing I have made mistakes, and I had to publicly, in front of everybody, went on video and told the world that I blew that opportunity to, hire Wendy Williams. But one of the things that's quite memorable was when we hired Steve Harvey. Now, how did that happen? Steve Harvey would come into Chicago to do comedy shows at a comedy spot in Chicago. And I would invite him to come on over to the radio station and, just be funny on the air. And one day, Doug Banks, I referred to him earlier, was absent. I said, Steve, I need you to fill in for Doug Banks. So he did the show all by himself, and he was phenomenal. So we went after him and offered him a full-time gig in Chicago on WGCI, and the ratings in the morning skyrocketed to the point where, man, this guy is dynamic. So that memory still sticks into my mind. So that's one situation. Another situation, which is pretty emotional for me, there's this nightclub called E2. This is in the early 2000s, latter 90s. Unfortunately, our listeners went there one evening for this big party, and there was a stampede. 22 people passed away. This was such a huge story. So I said to my morning man when it was announced that all of these people passed away, we should not play music the entire morning. So we went into a talk show mode. Why? Because we knew it was our audience. So you had listeners calling in saying, I had a relative there, listeners feeling the pain and the agony of what had happened at this nightclub. So Sandra, to really delve into your question, there are so many memories of being at this radio station. We were the reflection of the city of Chicago. It was as simple as that. Whatever went on, even the news station covered this story, but it was not verified or was not taken seriously until this radio station said, yes, there was a stampede at this nightclub, and it's real. So WGCI had so much clout in that city that I've never seen anything like this in my entire career.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I'm sure there's so many moments that you can recall, but what are you most proud of in your radio career?
Well, I'll say this. I am most proud of finding God through, being in this radio game. Why? Because it's so challenging, or being in the entertainment business, it's so challenging. It could weigh you down, but to have a foundation with God, to have God as my base, to go to God every single day, asking him for direction or thanking him for all of the great things that he has done for me. That is just so fulfilling. So that's one thing. Next, to be able to say, boy, I have found the right partner. Come this September, my wife and I will be celebrating 26 years of marriage. It's just every day I keep a journal, Sandra, and what I write in the journal, two things. First thing I write, I love my wife. Second thing I write, I love my kids. So both, Fonda is her name. We have 3 children together, and it's just amazing. Then to put on top of that, God blessing me with a career, as Jamel said, he said decades, but I'll tell you, it's been 40 years that I have been doing what I am doing today. It's still a passion of mine, and to wake up excited about what you do, it's amazing. I tell my 23-year-old, find your passion. And I found my passion, and sometimes I forget that I get paid for my passion. So it's not good to just say, okay, I have a job, because I tell you, you're going to get to work at 9 o'clock. At 9:02, you're going to look at your watch, wondering when will 5 o'clock arrive. But if you found your passion, time doesn't even matter because it goes by so quickly.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have podcasts, satellite radio, Pandora, so many other options nowadays. What are your thoughts on the state of radio today with so many other options available to people?
And I think that's an excellent question. And that's something that runs through my mind every day. And here in Orlando and in Jacksonville, I oversee a station in Orlando and 2 stations in Jacksonville. And I preach to or advise my on-air people. People can hear Leave the Door Open by Bruno Mars anywhere. If they want to hear it right now, they can go to, as you indicated, Spotify, or they can go to YouTube. But they cannot run to those mediums if your content is so powerful. So make sure that your content is strong. Attention time spans today, very short. So every time they talk, it is important that their content is compelling. Otherwise, I'm concerned, as you are, that radio will become insignificant. So one of the primary points here is personalities need to step it up even higher in order to keep this medium alive. And that is one of the primary things that I dwell on. Of course, we're going to play the popular songs, but as I indicated, those songs are accessible within 10 seconds.
We've got quite a few people in the audience, some comments that are going to make you smile. Renee Simmons says, Elroy, R.C. Smith, those days. We would start at Flavors, then hit Rangers after dark with Elroy and come out when the sun was rising. Those were the days. And then Manuela John said,
like my parents.
out of the Brett, who was such a nuisance on Spice Hill Road way back then. But we have a question for you, and we probably should have opened the show with this. Rosalind Famous is asking, what does a program director do?
Well, I mean, it's pretty simple. I don't want to say simple, but I'm going to try to define it clearly here. A program director is ultimately in charge of the sound of the radio station, the direction of the radio station, working closely with other departments at a radio station. For instance, promotions, coming up with promotions, nurturing the DJs, helping the DJs, as we've been talking about, to be compelling. So in a nutshell, the sound of the radio station is in the hands of the program director. The program director is like the coach of a team. I did see the Rangers comment, and one of the things that, looking back, that I did not do correctly, I was working at the Rangers Club, as the message said, at an illegal age. I was working there at 16 years old as a DJ. So they had to hide me in this booth because it was just not right. And again, I knew something was wrong with that. And I tried to make sure that I did everything right so Rangers would not get in trouble. And that message is correct, because right after Rangers, we would go to a restaurant in Paget called Chicken Coop. And that was open until 6 in the morning. It was open overnight. One of the only restaurants in Bermuda that was open after the clubs closed. But Rangers has a lot to do with where I am today.
Yeah. Elroy,
and the other message, Jamel, that was crazy, Spice Hill. Yes, I was a nuisance. I was a little brat on Spice Hill Road.
Well, most successful people. But before you go, there are so many things have changed in Bermuda since even you were owner of Entitled Communications, and things have changed a lot since you left way back when. But what advice would you give to Bermudians? I always say to people, my encouraging words would be to grow beyond your environment, right? That's probably the best way to look at getting to where people want to be. What advice would you give to people who want to kind of, get to a space where you are, or, even, to get where you are might be a stretch, but to get to, close to where you are, what advice would you give someone who's in Bermuda? They're working hard. They're really trying to, make it beyond their environment. What would you say to them?
Yeah, Jamel, as I indicated, and this is a great extension of what I just said, find your passion. And if that passion is, boy, it's not available in Bermuda, do not be afraid to, look outside of our beautiful island, and you will find it. And you may have to leave home to achieve your passion. I never thought that I would remain in America, but I saw that the opportunities were unlimited. And that's when I said, oh, maybe, going back home permanently, my passion would be limited. So yes, Bermuda, phenomenal island. People are phenomenal, but don't feel as though you need to, stay there and sort of, meander through life. Go after your passion, and somebody will listen. Now, if there was a university that offered broadcasting in Bermuda, I would have gone there. I would have, said, Bermuda, I'm coming. But there was no university or college in Bermuda that offered broadcasting. And there are situations now in Bermuda, or it's been forever, where, boy, I cannot get what I want on this island. It's okay to say to, your relatives and your friends in Bermuda, I may be leaving for a while because life is short, and I have this passion that I could only find in New York City, or I can only find on the West Coast.
Indeed. Elroy Smith, thank you so much. I have like 100 more things I'd like to talk to you about publicly, but I'm sure we'll have a day and time. But thank you so much for making time. Thank you to your wife, your children, for allowing you to do this, and appreciate you. Your fan in the audience, Miss Vonda, says, I'm an Elroy Smith fan. No, but thank you. Your journey is inspiring. And I say this, you spoke about keeping in touch with people. Folks, I'm telling you, no lie, and he can look through his text. I really scroll through my phone to try to remember people's birthdays. And if I miss Elroy's birthday, I actually feel guilty. So I would try to send
Hey, Jamel, but there's another avenue that can help y'all. Just, look on Facebook, and it reminds you whose birthday it is. So to that person, like, how did Jamel remember that it was my birthday? So that's my little trick there, Jamel.
Elroy, still teaching us, folks, still teaching us. But honestly, you dropped so many gems this morning, and I really hope people take them on. Thank you for doing this, and I really hope that these conversations do inspire people to push on, keep going, and hopefully, or maybe, they can be the next Elroy Smith or Sandra Durham. So thank you so much for you taking the time.
Thank you both. Nice to meet you, Sandra. And thank you, Jamel.
Have a great one. Elroy Smith, folks. If you appreciated the conversation this morning, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. If you aren't already, make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel as well. We're going to, I can't say it enough. Sandra, we'll talk about it when we come back. Quick break. We're going to do a giveaway as well. So do not go anywhere. We're going to give you a little something for sticking with us. But man, I love Elroy. Like, I really do. I as a person, I even remember the diabetes story about Doug Banks. Like, I remember that, like how, we being personable with the audience. So everything he spoke of, I hope everyone in the TDH crew was listening intently to what he was saying as to what the program director does. Like, I'm not tough. It's just what we do. Stick with us. We're going to come back and Sancha's going to get some answers wrong. Cool? Stick with us.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security, there's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
All right. Thanks again to Elroy Smith. Folks, like I said, if you appreciated that conversation with Elroy, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Share these conversations. Honestly, I think most Bermudians, not just in media, but most Bermudians should know Elroy Smith. His story is fascinating. He said he could not read when he began his journey in this space. Folks, it's a journey, and he's worked with some of the most incredible people. What I failed to mention when he was on, this show was kind of born out of Tom Joyner. When Tom Joyner announced that he was ending his morning show, I reached out to Shanta. I said, we need a morning show. Bermuda needs a morning talk show. That's where the idea originally came from. So there's so many different connections, but when I say I admire him, he is the most influential boss I've ever had. And I've had some very good people I've worked under, but he's the most influential. And I'm telling you, folks, share this conversation. There's so much more we can talk about. But Sancha, thanks again to People's Pharmacy Medical House, One Communications, and Linda. Sorry, I got all caught up. For ensuring that we can have conversations with people like Elroy. But even he mentioned, like, a lot of what we do on this show is because of Elroy. Making sure that, remember what he said, that WGCI was a music station, but they went focused more on talk. That's what changed. That's what made them number one. They didn't just talk, but they spoke about community stuff. It was Elroy that got me to understand that a station will only succeed, or a show will only succeed if it's community driven. So this is a part of his legacy right here that we're all a part of, all of you, the audience. And I think he likes you, Sancha. He said, you're pretty cool.
Why, thank you.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I don't know if people know who Kathy Hughes is, but when you can say you've worked with people like Kathy Hughes, like, to me, I was a super fan. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, again, folks, Kathy Hughes is huge. What I'm going to do is tell you to Google the name Kathy Hughes. A Black woman in the time that she did what she did. Man, you better ask somebody. I've been lucky enough to hang out with her, but you better ask somebody. Do not believe Black women just started becoming successful. What she did in the era in which she did it, and what she built as a Black woman, man, it's time for Daily Play, brought to you by Heineken 0.0, great taste, no alcohol, and Bermuda Trivia, now available for purchase at Somerset Pharmacy, People's Pharmacy, Flying Colors, and Caesar's Pharmacy, as well as Robertson's. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Sancha, are you ready?
Let's have it.
All right, it's a feud today, folks. Here we go. Easy stuff right here. Easy stuff. In honor of Elroy and myself, who both live in Florida. Tell us something people in Florida do a lot more than people in Minnesota.
Go to the beach.
My goodness, she literally said it word for word. Like, go to the beach was number one, folks. She loves this game. All right, here we go. Don't forget, giveaway coming up, folks. Name a household chore that is literally a 4-letter word.
Cook.
That's number 3. Somebody got it. Renee Simmons, dust.
Dust
is it. All right, and final one for Sancha, folks. Oh, this is easy, especially for Bermudians. Name the worst thing about driving behind a bus.
Slow. Oh, the debris.
Think about being on a bike.
The debris, the smoke, the exhaust.
There you go. Exhaust fume, number one. Yeah. I thought Bermudians would get that easy. Easy. Folks, let's do a giveaway. Hashtag the Daily Hour. We're going to give away something this morning. Hashtag the Daily Hour. I'll give you a $25 gift certificate, all right, to one of our sponsors. $25 gift certificate. You can put the hashtag the Daily Hour in while Sancha and I wrap it up. Sancha, final thoughts on today's discussion about service and also our guest, Elroy Smith.
So as I always say, we need to have a product in order to provide service for. So I think that the BTA should focus on providing a product for us to actually service, and then let the Bermudians take care of the service part.
Yeah.
That's that. And Elroy Smith, I mean, like I said, I've been teaching Maddox what a legend is, and he is one within his space. And I hope it encourages more Bermudians to say, okay, I can do this as well. Because, I mean, his career is that of someone that we read about overseas and say this person is inspirational. And to know that he's come from Bermuda, homegrown, and he is in an amazing space doing amazing things, you know, I hope that that inspires other people.
Yeah, indeed. I just want to say regarding, as I said when I looked into the camera earlier, folks, don't be distracted by the Bermuda Tourism Authority and the interim one and the words. At the end of the day, what Bermudians need to be asking is, how's group sales going? How are the marketing efforts? What are we spending on marketing? What are we spending on employees? What new hotels are on the verge of coming on board? Those are the questions we need to be asking. Let's not be distracted by them focusing on service. Service could be great, but if there's no people to service, is there an industry? As far as Elroy, again, I'll restate, the most influential person I've had the privilege of working with. He has literally shaped my career, and it's something, he's someone I'll always be grateful for. Folks, we talk about mentors and coaches. Remember what he said, keep in touch with people. Keep in touch with people. But I want to say this, and this is my tribute to everyone that is a part of the Daily Hour as far as host. When we look for people to work on this show, we're looking for the right mix of people who have what Elroy focused on, the right personality, a personality that is engaging for the audience, not offensive, a personality that will generate conversation, a personality that's going to be real, authentic, right? And that came from Elroy. You want to ensure that you are giving the people Sancha, the Sancha everyone knows, Sherry, the Sherry. You know, it was Elroy that said to me, this is not Hollywood. This is radio. This is about being yourself. So you all say I'm rude. Well, what, you want me to be different when I come on? I'm just saying. That's my excuse. All right, let's do this giveaway. All right, we've got let's do it. Who we got? $25 gift voucher. Here we go. Let's do it, Sancha. Let's do it. Big money. Big money. Here we go. Yikes. Shauna, she got a second one. She won a mug a couple weeks ago. Now she's won a $25 gift voucher. So Shauna Muhammad, you are on a roll. Got that secret. So I'm taking you to get my lottery numbers next time. Right? I'm taking you. So congratulations to you, Shauna. Sancha, you got any daily inspiration for us?
I do have a daily inspiration for you, Jamal. And today, our daily inspiration is keep your face always towards the sunshine, and shadows will fall behind you. I needed that today.
I like that. Shauna Muhammad, please send an email to engage@thedailyhour.com for your to collect your $25 gift voucher. Folks, there's no show on Monday. We'll be back on Tuesday, next week, Tuesday. All right. So thanks again to our partners, MediQuals, One Communications, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you. We love you. And we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you next Tuesday. She's Central Durham. I'm Jamel Hartman. My friends, make it a safe and great weekend. We're out. Peace.